He found an Apache widow by his horse, and heard her whisper the name of his dead wife. He lived a quiet life in an open land where the sky looked endless and the wind never stopped moving. Every morning he woke up early, even before the sun fully appeared. The air was usually cool and fresh, and the world felt peaceful at that time. He liked those early hours because they reminded him that life still continued, even after everything had changed. His name was known by a few people in the area, but he was not famous or important in any big way. He was simply a hardworking man. He cared for his horse, looked after his small land, and tried to build a stable life. The horse was his most trusted friend. They had been together for many years, traveling across fields and hills. The man spoke to the horse as if it understood him, and in many ways it did. But even with this simple life, there was a deep sadness inside him. Not long ago, he had lost his wife. Her passing had left a silence in his home that felt heavy and permanent. Before she was gone, the house was full of small sounds, her steps, her voice, her laughter, and the simple daily talks they shared. Now the rooms felt empty. Even when the doors and windows were open, the air inside seemed still. He tried to stay strong. He believed that crying too much would not bring her back, so he often kept his feelings inside. During the day, he worked harder than before. He repaired fences, cleaned the stable, and cared for the land without taking many breaks. Physical work helped him avoid thinking too much. When his body was tired, his mind felt a little quieter. At night, however, everything changed. When the sky became dark and the stars appeared, memories came back clearly. He would sit alone and remember the way his wife used to smile at small things. He remembered how she would sit near the window in the evening light, sewing or reading quietly. Sometimes she would look up and ask him about his day, even if she already knew the answer. She cared about his feelings, and that made him feel valued. After her death, he felt as if a part of his heart had been removed. He did not talk about this pain much. The people around him knew he had suffered, but they did not fully understand how deep his loss was. He was polite and kind, but he kept a distance from others. He feared that if he opened his heart again, he might feel that kind of pain once more. His horse became even more important during this time. When he felt lonely, he would sit beside the animal and rest his hand on its neck. The horse would stand calmly, as if offering silent support. The man believed that animals could sense emotions. In moments of sadness, the horse seemed to stay closer, as though it knew he needed comfort. One evening, after a long day of work, the sun began to set with soft colors across the sky. The land was quiet, and there were no other people nearby. He had tied his horse near a small resting spot, close to a water source. The horse was calm, eating slowly. The man walked a short distance away to stretch his legs and enjoy the cool air. He was thinking about his wife again. It was one of those days when memories felt stronger than usual. He remembered her voice clearly in his mind. He even imagined hearing her call his name. He sighed deeply and looked toward the horizon. The world looked beautiful, but he felt alone inside. When he turned back toward his horse, he noticed something unusual. At first, he thought it was just a shadow near the animal. The light was fading, and it was difficult to see clearly. But as he walked closer, he realized that a person was standing near his horse. His heart beat faster for a moment. It was not common to see someone there at that time of evening. He slowed his steps and tried to observe carefully. The person appeared to be a woman, standing calmly without any sudden movement. She did not seem afraid, but she also did not look comfortable. The man felt unsure about what to do. He had been taught to be cautious in unfamiliar situations. Still, he did not feel danger in the air. Instead, he sensed something quiet and serious. He moved closer and greeted her politely. His voice was steady, though his mind was alert. The woman looked at him with calm eyes. She was dressed in traditional clothing, simple and practical. Her expression was not aggressive. It was thoughtful, almost sad. The man asked if she needed help. He wondered if she had lost her way. The area could be difficult for travelers, especially near sunset. He kept a respectful tone, showing that he meant no harm. For a moment, she did not answer. She looked at the horse, then back at him. There was something in her eyes that seemed familiar, though he could not explain why. He waited patiently. The wind moved gently across the land, and the sound of it filled the silence. The man felt his emotions slowly settling. He reminded himself to stay calm and listen. Whatever reason brought this woman here, it was important to understand before making any judgment. The night was approaching, and the light was becoming softer. In that quiet space, both of them stood facing each other with only the horse between them. The animal remained calm, not showing fear. That detail gave the man some comfort. He did not yet know that this meeting would soon change his understanding of everything. At that moment, he only knew that something unusual had entered his life, something that felt meaningful, though he could not see why. His heart, still carrying the weight of loss, did not realize that this evening would bring memories back in a way he never expected. He had spent so long trying to protect himself from strong emotions. Now, standing there in the fading light, he felt that something important was about to be revealed. The evening was slowly turning darker when the man stood near his horse and looked at the woman again. The land around them was quiet, and the soft wind moved through the grass. The sky had orange and purple colors that were fading into night. For a few seconds, no one spoke. The silence felt heavy but not uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that happens before something important is said. The man noticed that the woman did not move away. She stayed calm beside the horse. The animal remained peaceful, which surprised him. His horse usually reacted if a stranger came too close, but this time it showed no fear. It simply stood there, breathing slowly. The man found this detail interesting, and it helped him feel a little more relaxed. He cleared his throat gently and asked again if she needed help. His voice was respectful. He did not want to show fear or anger. He had learned in life that kindness often works better than suspicion. The woman looked at him carefully, as if trying to decide whether she could trust him. After a short pause, she nodded slightly. She spoke in a soft tone, explaining that she was traveling and had stopped to rest. Her words were simple. She did not say much about her journey. She seemed careful, choosing her sentences wisely. The man listened without interrupting. He believed that listening first was the right thing to do. As she spoke, he noticed something about her expression. There was sadness in her eyes. It was not loud or dramatic sadness. It was quiet, like his own feelings. That similarity made him feel a strange connection, even though they were strangers. He did not understand why, but he felt that she had also experienced loss. The man asked politely where she was headed. She answered that she had no fixed destination. She was moving forward, step by step, like many people who had faced difficult changes in life. Her words were simple but meaningful. The man thought about how life sometimes forces people to move on, even when they are not ready. He then asked why she had approached his horse. This question was important to him. The area was open, and there was no reason for her to stand so close to his animal unless something had caught her attention. The woman hesitated for a moment before responding. She looked at the horse again, then at the man. She explained that the horse reminded her of something from her past. The man felt curious but did not interrupt. He noticed that her hands were steady, not shaking. She seemed calm, not nervous. This made him feel safer. While they spoke, the night continued to grow darker. The first stars appeared in the sky. The air became cooler. The man suggested that they move closer to a small fire he had started earlier for warmth. He did not want her to feel uncomfortable in the open field. He believed that offering kindness was better than creating distance. They walked a few steps and sat near the small fire. The flames were gentle, giving soft light. The horse remained nearby, tied securely but relaxed. The woman sat carefully, keeping a respectful distance. The man could see her face more clearly now. She looked tired but strong. There was something familiar in her presence. He could not explain it. It was not her appearance but her calmness. It reminded him of his wife's peaceful nature. The thought made his heart ache slightly, but he did not show it. After a moment of quiet, the woman began speaking again. This time her words were slower. She said she had seen him from a distance earlier in the day. She noticed that he treated his horse with care. That kindness had caught her attention. She believed that a person who respects animals often has a good heart. The man felt surprised by her observation. He had not expected anyone to notice such details. He thanked her for her words. He felt a small sense of pride, not because of praise, but because someone recognized his values. Then the conversation paused again. The fire crackled softly. The wind moved gently around them. The man felt curious about her story. He sensed that there was more she had not yet shared. Something in her expression suggested she carried a memory that was important. He decided to ask gently about her background. He wanted to understand her better, not out of suspicion, but out of respect. She looked at the fire for a long time before answering. Her eyes reflected the light, making them shine softly. She began speaking about her life. She explained that she had lost someone close to her not long ago. Her voice did not break, but it carried emotion. She described how that loss changed her path. She had been trying to find peace and understanding since then. The man listened carefully. He felt empathy because he knew the feeling of losing someone dear. As she spoke, the connection between them became clearer. They were both living with sadness. They both understood what it meant to wake up each day and feel the absence of someone important. This shared experience created an invisible bond. The woman paused and looked at him directly. She said something that made his heart stop for a moment. She mentioned that she had known his wife in the past. The words were simple, but they carried great meaning. The man felt a sudden rush of emotions. He had not expected to hear that. He leaned forward slightly and asked how she knew his wife. His voice was steady, but inside his thoughts were moving quickly. The woman explained that their paths had crossed long ago. They had shared a brief connection, though not a long friendship. Still, she had remembered his wife's name and kindness. The man felt both shock and curiosity. He had never heard his wife mention this woman before. He wondered why this meeting was happening now. The timing felt unusual, especially in this quiet place at sunset. The woman then said she had something important to tell him, something connected to his wife's memory. The man waited silently. His heart was beating faster, but he kept his posture calm. The firelight moved gently between them. At that moment, the air felt different. The night seemed to pause. The horse shifted slightly but remained calm. The man realized that this was not an ordinary encounter. Something meaningful was unfolding. The woman looked at him with steady eyes and said that before her death, his wife had spoken about him with respect and care. She described how his wife valued his strength and kindness. The woman had carried those words with her. The man felt a deep emotion rising inside him. Hearing about his wife from someone else brought her memory back in a new way. It was not just his private memory anymore. It was shared through another person's experience. He felt grateful even though his eyes became moist. He did not try to hide it. The woman understood his reaction and remained silent, giving him space. The fire continued to glow softly. For the first time since his wife's passing, he felt that her life had touched more people than he realized. That thought brought comfort. He understood that love does not disappear completely. It leaves traces in the hearts of others. The conversation that began with surprise was slowly turning into something deeper. The night had grown quiet, but inside the man's heart a new understanding was beginning to form. The fire burned softly between them as the night became darker. The man sat still, trying to understand everything he had just heard. His mind felt full of thoughts. The woman's words about his wife were still echoing inside him. He had not expected to meet someone who knew her, especially in this quiet and open land. The woman looked calm, but there was a serious expression on her face. She seemed ready to share more. The man noticed that she was not in a hurry. She waited patiently, allowing him time to think. That patience made him respect her even more. After a few moments, the man spoke quietly. He thanked her for telling him about his wife. He said it meant a lot to hear that she had spoken kindly about him. His voice was steady, but his heart was full of emotion. The woman nodded and said that kindness was something she remembered clearly about his wife. The man felt a strange warmth inside his chest. It had been a long time since anyone mentioned his wife in such a thoughtful way. Most people avoided the topic because they thought it would cause pain. But this conversation felt different. It did not feel like opening an old wound. It felt like remembering something valuable. The woman then looked at the horse and smiled slightly. She said that animals often carry memories just like people do. The man listened carefully. He agreed silently. His horse had been with him through many moments, including times when his wife was alive. Sometimes she would stand near the animal and gently touch its neck. The memory of that scene came back to him now. The woman explained that she had been traveling for some time. She had stopped at different places, meeting different people. Each meeting helped her understand life better. She believed that every person carries a story, even if it is not visible from the outside. The man found her words thoughtful. As they continued talking, the man felt more comfortable. Earlier, he had felt unsure about her presence. Now he saw that she was not a stranger in the way he first thought. They shared a connection through memory. That connection made the evening feel meaningful instead of strange. The woman then said something that surprised him again. She told him that before her passing, his wife had spoken about a wish she once had. The man leaned forward slightly. He wanted to hear more. The woman explained that his wife had hoped her kindness would continue to help others, even after she was gone. These words touched him deeply. He realized that his wife had thought beyond her own life. She had cared about the future and about people she might never meet again. The man felt proud of her, but also emotional. It was comforting to know that her values still lived in others. The fire was slowly becoming smaller. The night air felt cooler. The woman adjusted her position to stay warm. The man offered her some water from his supply, and she accepted politely. This simple act made the conversation feel more human and friendly. They talked about small things for a while. The woman shared parts of her journey, speaking about the landscapes she had crossed and the people she had observed. She avoided sharing details that were too personal, but she spoke about lessons she had learned. The man listened with interest. He realized that she had faced her own difficulties. At one point, the woman grew quiet. She looked up at the stars. The sky was clear and many stars were shining. She said that she believed the night sky connects everyone. No matter where a person is, the same stars shine above them. The man looked up as well and agreed. For the first time in a long while, he felt less alone. The conversation then returned to his wife. The woman gently asked what kind of person she had been. The man paused before answering. Speaking about his wife always made him emotional, but this time he felt ready. He described her as kind, patient, and understanding. He told the woman about her gentle voice and her habit of helping neighbors without expecting anything in return. As he spoke, he noticed that the woman listened carefully. She did not interrupt. She respected his memories. This made him feel safe. He realized that sharing stories can sometimes bring comfort instead of pain. The woman then did something unexpected. She reached into a small bag she carried and took out a simple item. It was not valuable in money, but it clearly had meaning. She explained that it once belonged to his wife. The man felt his breath slow down. He carefully took the item and examined it in the firelight. Seeing something that had touched his wife's hands made the moment feel very real. He felt as if a small part of her was still present. The woman said she had kept it safely after their meeting long ago. She had planned to return it someday if she ever found the right moment. She believed that moment was now. The man felt gratitude. He understood that the woman had respected his wife's memory for a long time. That act showed care and honesty. He thanked her sincerely. His voice was softer than before. The fire finally became only glowing embers. The night was fully settled around them. The horse remained calm, occasionally moving its head. The peaceful behavior of the animal seemed to match the calm feeling growing inside the man. He realized that this encounter was not random. It had brought new understanding into his life. At first, he had felt surprise and uncertainty. Now he felt clarity. The woman had not come with any negative intention. Instead, she had carried memories and respect. Before they prepared to part ways for the night, the woman spoke one more time. She said that sometimes life brings people together again in unexpected ways. She believed that every meeting has a purpose. The man considered her words carefully. He felt that this meeting had helped him see his wife's life from a different angle. The sadness in his heart did not disappear completely, but it felt lighter. He understood that memories can be shared and honored by others. That thought gave him comfort. The woman stood up slowly, preparing to continue her journey. The man also rose to his feet. They looked at each other with understanding. There was no fear now, only respect. The horse stood quietly beside them as if it had witnessed the change in the atmosphere. As they prepared to say goodbye, the man felt thankful for this unusual evening. He did not yet know what the future would bring, but he felt stronger than before. The night had started with uncertainty, but it was ending with reflection and peace. The night had grown quiet, and the fire was now only small, glowing pieces of wood. The man and the woman sat in thoughtful silence for a few moments. The earlier surprise had turned into calm understanding. The man still held the small item she had returned to him, turning it gently in his hands. It felt warm from the firelight and from memory. He looked at the woman and asked her gently if she would continue her journey that night. She shook her head and said she would rest nearby before moving on in the morning. She did not want to travel in complete darkness. The man agreed, saying that safety was important, especially in open land. He offered her a place to rest near his camp, not too close, but within a respectful distance. The woman accepted the offer with gratitude. She explained that she did not wish to cause trouble or create fear. Her intention had always been peaceful. The man believed her. His earlier doubts were gone. Now he saw her as a person who had come with honesty and care. They prepared a small resting space. The man gathered a little more wood to keep a soft fire burning through the night. He did not want it too large, only enough for light and comfort. The woman helped by placing a few stones around the fire area to keep it safe. Their teamwork was simple but meaningful. It showed trust without needing many words. While they worked, the man noticed how steady and focused she was. She did not complain about the cold air or the long day. She carried herself with quiet strength. He began to understand that she had faced her own challenges in life. That realization made him respect her even more. When they finally sat down again, the sky was full of stars. The land looked peaceful under the night light. The horse stood calmly nearby, occasionally moving its tail. The man felt thankful that his animal remained relaxed. It gave him a sense of comfort. The woman began speaking again, this time about memories. She said that remembering the good things about someone is a way of keeping them alive in the heart. The man listened carefully. She explained that pain becomes lighter when it is shared with others who understand. Her words felt honest and wise. The man thought about this deeply. For a long time, he had kept his feelings inside. He believed that staying quiet was the strongest way to handle grief. But now he was seeing another side. Talking had helped him feel less alone. He realized that silence can protect feelings, but sharing can heal them. He told the woman that since his wife's passing, he had focused only on work. He had tried to avoid thinking too much. He said that sometimes at night he felt the house was too quiet. The woman nodded, showing she understood. She did not interrupt him. She simply listened. As he spoke, he felt something new. He was not speaking to complain. He was speaking to remember. That difference made him feel calm. The woman encouraged him gently to continue honoring his wife's memory by living with kindness, just as she had done. The man felt a shift inside his heart. He realized that his wife would not want him to live in constant sadness. She would want him to continue his life with strength and hope. This thought slowly replaced some of his heaviness with motivation. The woman then shared a personal story about her own loss. She spoke about how difficult it was in the beginning. She described how the days felt long and the nights felt longer. She admitted that there were moments when she felt like giving up her journey. But over time, she learned to move forward one step at a time. Her honesty touched the man deeply. He saw that she was not only strong but also human. She had faced sadness and still chose to continue living with purpose. That example gave him encouragement. The fire burned softly while they talked. The conversation felt natural now. There was no tension left. Instead, there was mutual respect. The man realized that this meeting had turned from a surprising moment into a meaningful experience. At one point, the woman asked him what he planned to do in the future. The question made him think carefully. He had not made any big plans since his wife's passing. His days had been simple and focused on work. But now, he felt a new energy inside him. He said he wanted to improve his land, perhaps make it more welcoming. He even thought about helping travelers in the area just as he had helped her. The woman smiled gently. She said that kindness often returns in unexpected ways. The man felt inspired. He understood that life does not stop after loss. Instead, it changes direction. Meeting the woman had shown him that new connections can bring healing. He no longer felt trapped in the past. As the night moved forward, the conversation slowed. Both of them felt tired but peaceful. The man looked at the stars again. He remembered how his wife used to enjoy looking at the night sky. She believed the stars represented hope. That memory now felt comforting instead of painful. The woman prepared her resting place and thanked him again for his hospitality. She said that not everyone would have responded with such openness. The man replied that kindness had been taught to him by someone very special. He was referring to his wife, though he did not need to say her name. Before they settled for sleep, they shared a final moment of silence. It was not awkward. It was calm. The firelight reflected in their eyes. In that moment, they both understood that their meeting had meaning beyond coincidence. The man felt grateful for the experience. Earlier in the evening, he had felt surprise and uncertainty. Now he felt understanding and inner peace. He realized that sometimes life brings people together not to create fear, but to create healing. As he lay down near his horse, he felt lighter than he had in a long time. The memories of his wife were still there, but they no longer felt heavy. They felt honored. The woman's words had helped him see that memory can be a bridge, not a burden. Under the wide sky, with the soft sound of wind across the land, the man finally closed his eyes with a calmer heart. The meeting had changed him in quiet but powerful ways. And as the stars continued to shine above, both of them rested with a deeper sense of understanding, knowing that this unexpected encounter had brought light into a time of darkness. The morning arrived slowly, bringing soft light across the open land. The sky changed from dark blue to gentle gold. The air felt fresh and cool. The man woke up early as he usually did, but this morning felt different. His heart was lighter than before. The events of the previous night still felt real, not like a dream, but they no longer felt confusing. Instead, they felt meaningful. He sat quietly for a moment and looked at the place where the small fire had burned. Only a few ashes remained. The woman was still resting at a short distance. She had kept her promise to stay nearby for the night. The man felt respect for her patience and calm behavior. His horse stood peacefully, as if it also understood that something important had happened. The animal looked healthy and relaxed. The man gently walked over and touched its neck. He felt thankful for the horse's steady presence during the unexpected meeting. The horse had remained calm the entire time, and that helped him feel safe. Soon, the woman began to wake. She moved slowly, preparing to continue her journey. The morning light made her expression look softer. There was no tension between them now, only understanding remained. The man greeted her with a simple and respectful good morning. She returned the greeting with a quiet smile. Before she left, the man invited her to share a simple meal with him. He did not have much, but he wanted to show appreciation for her honesty and kindness. She accepted politely. They sat together and ate in silence for a few minutes, enjoying the peaceful morning. While they ate, the man thought about everything that had happened since the previous evening. When he first saw her near his horse, he felt unsure. Now he felt grateful. The conversation about his wife, the shared memories, and the returned item had changed his heart in ways he did not expect. After finishing the meal, the woman stood up and prepared to leave. The man walked with her toward the edge of his land. The morning sun was rising higher, shining brightly over the fields. The land looked beautiful under the new light. Everything seemed clearer. As they walked, the woman spoke one last time about the importance of remembering loved ones in a positive way. She said that grief should not stop a person from living. Instead, it should encourage strength and growth. Her words were simple but powerful. The man listened carefully. When they reached the point where their paths would separate, the woman stopped and turned to face him. She thanked him again for his kindness. She said that many people might have reacted with fear, but he chose understanding instead. The man replied that he had learned something valuable from her visit. They stood quietly for a moment. The wind moved gently between them. There was no sadness in this goodbye. It felt peaceful, almost like the ending of a long lesson. Before she left, the woman said something that stayed with him. She told him that the memory of his wife would always live in the hearts of those who had known her. She encouraged him to continue living in a way that honored her values. The man nodded. He understood now that honoring someone does not mean living in sorrow. It means living with the same kindness and strength they showed. The woman began walking away, slowly moving across the open land. The man watched her from a distance. He did not feel fear or confusion anymore. Instead, he felt calm appreciation. He realized that sometimes strangers enter our lives at the exact moment we need guidance. After she disappeared into the distance, the man returned to his horse. He looked around the land that once felt empty. Now it felt different. The world had not changed, but his view of it had. He felt more connected to life again. He mounted his horse and rode slowly across the field. The ride felt smooth and peaceful. As the horse moved forward, the man thought about the lessons he had learned. He understood that loss does not mean the end of love. Love can continue in memories, actions, and kindness toward others. When he reached his home, he entered the quiet house. The rooms were still simple and calm, but they no longer felt heavy. He placed the small item from his wife in a safe place. It was not just an object anymore. It represented memory, respect, and connection. Over the next few days, the man noticed changes in himself. He began speaking more with neighbors. He smiled more often. He continued working on his land, but now he also thought about improving it in ways that could help others. He remembered the woman's words about kindness returning in unexpected ways. One afternoon, while repairing a fence, he realized something important. The meeting had not only helped him remember his wife, it had also helped him understand himself better. He saw that strength does not mean hiding feelings. True strength means accepting emotions and growing from them. Time passed, but the memory of that night remained clear. The man often looked at the stars, remembering how he and the woman had shared that view. The sky now reminded him of connection instead of loneliness. Whenever he felt sad, he thought about their conversation and felt encouraged. He continued living his life with renewed purpose. He worked hard, cared for his horse, and treated people with respect. His heart was no longer closed. It was open to understanding and compassion. The unexpected encounter by the horse had started as a moment of surprise. It had grown into a meaningful experience that changed his outlook on life. The whisper of his wife's name had once shocked him, but now it felt like a reminder that love and memory can bring people together in powerful ways. In the end, the man realized that life can bring healing in surprising forms. Sometimes it comes through conversation, sometimes through shared memories, and sometimes through a simple meeting in the quiet evening light. That night with the Apache widow did not just connect two strangers. It helped two people understand loss, respect, and kindness in a deeper way. And for the man, it marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where he could remember the past with peace and move toward the future with hope.